So you want to be a game master. Prepared for distractions. You're going to find distractions at your table in ways you're probably not expecting to find. This is a common experience at most game tables. If you go to conventions, you have to deal with all the other stuff going on in the room around you, and the talk and the conversations that overflows onto your table can be distracting. You can have pets that are distracting. You can do certain things perhaps to alleviate this or to limit this. You're also going to have background noises, people with their cell phones on, people with their laptops open, potentially people wanting to do texting and things like this while they're at the gaming table. That is a distraction, both for them, for you, and for the other players at the table. This also includes things like family and extended family and other and hangers on. If you go to a place and that you have your friends over and they have to bring their and they bring or have to bring their spouses and kids, then your house or your setting becomes even fuller. And what are they doing while you and your associates are playing at the table? Have you established something for them? I mean, if you have a spouse who doesn't sit at your table and play, is she or he now going to be the host for the everybody else that came along with the party that wants to play at the table? That's all stuff you kind of have to give yourself some thought about, right? Distractions are real. It happens to everybody. It's all part of the damn system, all part of life. The more in depth you want your game to be, the more theater of the mind you want it to be. The deeper you get into the fourth dimension of play concept, the more these distractions become a problem. Ask the 4D guys, they'll tell you this is a problem. Isolate your group. Have a room separate. If you're fortunate enough to have a house large enough to have a specific room for gaming with a door, set some ground rules for all the non-players so they don't just come wandering in and out of the door asking questions and disrupting the play at the table, because they will do that. Ask your players to turn their phones off or leave them out in the other room. I'm sorry, but if you need your phone to reference stuff on your character, that needs to stop. That's just rude and inconsiderate and BS. It's pure BS. That's what paper's for. That's why you have your character sheets. Yes, you can have them on a pad. Yes, you can have them on your laptop. But this causes additional distractions at your table. As the game master, part of your responsibilities is policing that. Now, you usually generally have an understanding during session 0 or the lead up to having any session at all, just what the criteria is about who's going to be allowed to play, who's going to be sitting around the table. I have sat at tables where we've had multiple people there that were not playing because I don't play that stuff, or I don't understand, or I don't want to play. But they want to be involved with the group. They want to be there. And what do? They comment, they joke, they intervene and interfere in the flow of the table. That is absolutely anti theater of the mind. It does no help for your group, for your players. As a new game master, this can be an issue that you didn't think you needed to worry about or confront. But I guarantee you, at some point, this sort of stuff will be a problem for you. And what will you do at that point? Because what do? I mean, I have to deal with this because this is her room and I'm just borrowing it. That's just the kind of the way this stuff works out sometimes. I'm not saying it's a great way to deal with stuff, but at the same time, it's realistic expectations. And sometimes you have to plan for things outside the table. That's like things like, snacks we're going to have a break, or we're going to play for 2 hours straight and then have a 20-minute break and then 2 hours later. I mean, because there's the inevitable, I got to go to the bathroom, and it's human, nature. You're going to have to address that. How do you address that if you're in full theater mode? We're going to sit down here for 4 hours and play our characters as if we were those characters from their character's perspective without rolling dice or referring to rules or asking for clarifications. That's the true depth that you're striving for when you want the complete experience of theater of the mind. I'm well familiar with this concept, and I have participated at those tables many times over the decades. So I get it. Far more than some people think I get. But hey, that doesn't change the fact that if you're sitting at a table for an extended period of time, calls of nature do occur and do happen, especially if you're sitting there drinking and snacking. I'm just pointing out. So what's the loose rule there? Pee your pants or excuse yourself from the table to go to the bathroom. You have to address things like that. You have to, just be aware that this is going to occur. It's going to happen. It's like having a session in a public area. I have run games in common rooms at college. I have run games in numerous game stores over the decades. I have done them in city parks. I have done them in the back seat of a car. I mean, it's part of the challenges and just how much you want to involve yourself and how much you want to participate in order to play. So we have to be, mindful. This goes two circles. I mean, when I talk to, as a GM and I talk to players, specifically new people at the table, I have to kind of lay down a little bit. This is when you have to lay down the rules of the table, the rules of the house. No cell phones for any reason. This includes you. You're the game master. You set the rules. You must abide by the same rules that you're expecting them to abide by. So if you ask them not to have their cell phone present, your cell phone needs to be turned off or out of the room altogether. You, as the host, as the game master, as the game master, need to confer with the host, because a lot of times you're not playing in your turf. You're invited into somebody else's home or somebody else's space to run the show, to facilitate. So you need to be on the same page with the host, especially if the host has extended family. Children can be extremely disruptive. Young children don't care what you're doing and they don't understand. Slightly older children are very curious about what you're doing because you're playing with something, but they still don't really understand what you're doing. Middle-aged children, you get into the eight years and up category, now might want to be curious enough or interested enough or want to sit down and participate. Those are things that you need to kind of think about ahead of time, because it can happen. It's the same thing with dealing with a bunch of kids in the house who don't play, who can't get their head that it's not okay to keep running in and out of the door, screwing with stuff and asking questions. They're making lots and lots of ruckus and noise. Because I guarantee you, I cannot count how many times I'm sitting at a table and I've heard something go off in a different room and had to excuse myself from the table to get up, stop play, to go investigate to see what happened. Well, my wife is epileptic and prone to seizures and has fallen many times in her lifetime. So when I hear a thud out there, I'm going to go look. And if y'all at the table don't get that or can't appreciate it, what did you want? What did you expect? I'm just being honest here. Just being on the table with this. It's funny how honesty is something a lot of people they all want it. Everybody wants honesty, but they don't want it. You know, you kind of get screwed into these social contracts in some ways, and you get hung up and bogged down by them. I'm just pointing out that, you know, yes, sorry, Mama. She's a little jumpy, right? Like I said, Mama's missing teeth on this one side here, and she drools a little bit. She's a little subconscious. She's also got something going on back in here, and she's very sensitive to it. Uh, I don't want to touch it because it can cause her to go into some weird little seizure of her own as she's trying to twist herself in circles and start peeing all over my laptop. She almost did that last month, so we're not having a repeat of that. So let's talk about that kind of a distraction. That is terribly distracting. Stuff happens, incidents occur, accidents occur, interruptions occur. Sometimes emergencies happen. That's also part of the life, and you have to be in the back of your brain, should be mindful that what if Anne's mom is having a crisis and went to the hospital? Anne needs to leave the table. She also may need to be notified of this. So we're back to that full circle thing. Anne needs her phone because mom's sick. As long as Anne leaves the phone alone, unless it's a bloody emergency, we're good. but I don't want to hear the phone bleeping, burping, and ringing because that's all distractive. Turn all those functions off. You can do this. If you go to a movie theater, you can turn all your functions off. You know it. I know it. That's the way they work now. Except Mama. Mama don't know that. She don't have an off switch. Just keep in mind that distractions are part and parcel of community anything. People are people. Don't get so I guess the thing is not to become surprised or annoyed or cheesed off when it does happen. Try to understand that things do and will occur that will disrupt the game and the session. Doesn't mean it has to be disrupted for the whole day. It could be picked up where you left off kind of thing. Sometimes somebody like the aforementioned Anne might need to step away from the table. Then you have to decide at that point, did her character leave the table too? Did her character go into suspended animation, or are you going to ghost the character, i.e., you or one of the other players run the character for the player who's not present? That in and of itself is worthy of a different video and a whole lot of other challenges. That's a sticky, prickly thing for a lot of players. Some people are adamant they do not like other people messing with their character. And something terrible happens to that said character while they're not present at the table, they're not going to be overly thrilled about that. And you, as the game master, would have to figure out how to address that. One more thing to keep on the plate. Nobody said being a game master was going to be easy. If it was easy, everybody would be playing and everybody would be running the show. Just saying, keep that in